హలో అదే ఒకసారి అన్నిట్లో ఆన్ చేయి, మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చేస్తున్నాడు మామయ్య. ఈ ఎట్టగట్ట తీసుకో.
రివర్స్ వస్తుంది.
సరే సరే అయితే సరే ఒకసారి వెయ్యి చూద్దాం.
అరే వంశీగాడికి ఛార్జింగ్ లేదు అంటే ఛార్జింగ్ పెట్టుకుంటే ఛార్జింగ్ వస్తుంది కదా. సరే ఆన్ చేసి పెట్టడానికి తాతది లేదా? రివర్స్ వస్తుంది. ఇక్కడ ఇది పెట్టాను, లైవ్ పెట్టా. సౌండ్స్ తగ్గి. ఇక్కడ రివర్స్ పడుతుంది, ఏం చేయాలి? రోడ్ పైన రివర్స్ వస్తుంది. కెమెరా పెట్టాలి అప్పుడు మొబైల్లో.
పెట్టు ఆన్లో ఉన్నాగా, 4 మొబైల్స్ ఆన్లో ఉన్నాయి కదా, జస్ట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ అలా రాయి చేసి
చెప్పాను. శ్రీధర్ నా చేసి పెట్టమని చెప్తా. కన్సిడర్ చేస్తారా వాళ్ళు? Hi everyone. Today I will explain about the stick diagrams. So what is stick diagram and where we are going to use and what is its applications. Okay. So here first we will see here the stick diagrams will be present in VLSI, that is very large scale integration. Very large scale integration. So here the IC technology has transformed from small scale integration, that is SSI, and MSI, that is medium scale integration, that is MSI, and the large scale integration, that is LSI, and the important one is the very large scale integration, that is VLSI. Okay, so this is how the transformation of these scales of integration, that is IC integration, is taken place. And the final one here we have ultra large scale integration. That is ULSI. Okay, so here it is less than 10 transistors will be placed on a silicon wafer in this one, and here it is in medium scale it is 10 to 500 transistors we can place, and in large scale integration, so we can place 500 to 20,000 transistors on the silicon wafer. And next one is here we have 20,000 to 20k to 1 million transistors we can place here, and here we have greater than 1 million we can place the transistors. Okay, greater than 1 million transistors we can place. So this is what we have here: the small scale integration, medium scale integration, large scale integration, and very large scale integration, and ultra large scale integration. Out of that, this very large scale integration is widely used integration scales of integration here we have. So out of that, in that one, so how we can draw the stick diagrams and what is the importance of stick diagrams, we will see here. Okay, so the first one is here, what is stick diagram? Okay, so what is stick diagram? So before going into the stick diagram definition, we have to know what are the different layers that are present in VLSI. Okay, mass circuits. In mass circuits, we have 4 layers. 4 layers. The first one is N diffusion, and second one is P diffusion, and third one is polysilicon, and the fourth one or final one is metal. Okay, so these are the layers what we have in our mass circuits. Okay, so here what is stick diagram means? Okay, so stick diagram is nothing but the transformation of this layer information. Okay, transformation or of this layer information, okay, into pictorial representation is called as what? The stick diagram. Stick diagram is nothing but the pictorial representation of the layer information. Okay, so that is what stick diagram. Then how we can draw these stick diagrams, and here what are the rules, different rules we have for this stick diagram. So before going into the rules, we have to know how we can represent these layers with the colors. That is nothing but stick diagram colors. Okay, so here we have, if you consider this N diffusion, so we can represent the stick diagram or layer here as with green color, with green. So that is nothing but like this. We can represent with green. The stick will be represented with green. Next one is P diffusion. So actually P diffusion can be represented with yellow color. And third one is polysilicon. Polysilicon will be represented with red. That is, here we have polysilicon 1 and polysilicon 2, but here we are going to use polysilicon 1 only, that is represented with red color. Okay, so that is, the stick will be represented with red. Right, so next one is what? The metal. Okay, or we can consider here metal 1, and we have also metal 2 also. So the metal 1 will be represented with the blue, that is blue color stick. Okay, so these are the layer information and their color representations. Okay, so now here suppose I want to draw a stick diagram for the NMOS inverter and CMOS inverter like that. Then what I have to do? So here another contact cuts and power supply and all those things we have. So here for contact cuts will represent with the black color, that is of black color circuit. Okay, so that will represent with this black color circuit. Okay, next another one is what we have is implant. Implant will be represented with yellow. Implant means where we'll get where we use this one is in depletion MOSFETs we'll use. So that implant representation is represented with yellow, but here I'm representing this one, that is yellow square box. Yellow color with square box. Okay, so these are what we have the basic needs to draw the stick diagrams for NMOS inverter or NMOS circuits. Okay, now what are the rules here we have to draw these stick diagrams? Okay, we'll see the rules to draw the stick diagrams. So rules to draw the stick diagram. Okay, so here someone is asking that what is VLSI. Okay, so VLSI is nothing but its abbreviation is very large scale integration, and nowadays this VLSI is widely using scales of integration here. Okay, so in VLSI we have this topic, that is stick diagram. Okay, so out of this here, what are the rules to draw the stick diagram? Okay, so what are the rules means? Suppose the first rule is when a polysilicon is crossed with N diffusion. Okay, so it will form an NMOS transistor, and it crossed with P diffusion, PMOS will form. Okay, that means what here? Whenever a polysilicon is crossed with the N diffusion or P diffusion, their corresponding MOS transistors will be formed. Okay, suppose if N diffusion is crossed with the polysilicon, so the NMOS enhancement transistor will be formed. Similarly, if a P diffusion is crossed with the polysilicon, the PMOS transistor will form. So, what is the conclusion here is the first rule here, that is rule 1. Rule 1 is what here? So, when a polysilicon is crossed with the diffusion, an enhancement transistor will be formed. Okay, so that is the first rule. So, that is nothing but I will consider NMOS enhancement transistor, that is NMOS enhancement transistor. So, here this is the N diffusion, okay, and it is crossed with the polysilicon, right? So here it is the formation of NMOS transistor, right? Okay, so here we have, this is N diffusion, and this one is the polysilicon. Okay, so this is polysilicon. Okay, so this is the formation of NMOS enhancement transistor. Similarly, we can also form the stick diagram for the PMOS, right? So how you can form the PMOS? That is nothing but a polysilicon is crossed with the P diffusion, so then it is forms what? The PMOS transistor, right? So now we have here the second rule, that is rule 2. Whenever two layers are crossed each other, okay, then there is no electrical contact between them, two different layers. Whenever if two different layers are crossed each other, so there is no electrical contact between them. Okay, so to make a electrical contact, we have to use contact cuts. contact cuts. Suppose here I will take one example. So what is that example here? So I will consider one polysilicon. Here we have, and it is crossed with a metal. Okay, that means what? I am crossing this one with the metal. Is there any electrical connection? No, because here the rule 2 will indicate that two different layers are crossed each other, then there is no electrical contact established between them. Okay, to require or to make that electrical contact, we have to use the contact cuts. So that contact cuts we can represent with the black color. So now there will be an electrical contact present between this polysilicon and metal layers. Okay, so this one is what? The metal. Both are different layers. So this one is what? The polysilicon, right? So therefore, this one is polysilicon. Okay, so this polysilicon is crossed with the metal. So, but here initially there is no electrical contact. To make the electrical contact, I am using here is the contact cuts, so that there is a connection established between the two different layers. Okay, so the next one is the rule 3. Here we have rule 3. So what is rule 3 here? Okay, so in our CMOS technology, okay, while drawing our what we call the PMOS and NMOS transistors, we have to place a demarcation line between them. Okay, placing of demarcation line between power rails. So power rails is nothing but the VDD and VSS. VDD and VSS. Okay, so how we can represent that one? So we can represent that one as like this. Suppose it is a power rails. Here we have will indicate with blue color. So it is a power rail. Here this one is VDD and this one is VSS. Okay, so we'll draw a demarcation line in between them. Okay, so that is demarcation line I will draw here. So above that we'll place pull up transistors, and here we'll place pull down transistors. Pull up and pull down. Okay, so like this we have to draw the demarcation line in CMOS circuits while you are drawing a CMOS circuit stick diagrams. Okay, so now we'll go with how to draw a stick diagram for an NMOS inverter, right? So stick diagram for an NMOS inverter, right? So how we can draw the stick diagram for an NMOS inverter? So before going into the stick diagram, first we have to know the what is its circuit. Okay, so the NMOS inverter circuit consists of here one depletion transistor of NMOS, and here we'll place this one is what? The depletion transistor. Okay, and here we have VDD. Okay, so the gate of this transistor is connected with the source. Okay, and here we are going to take the output, so that is V out. So here we have is VSS. So this one is the V input what we are going to place. Okay, so here if you observe this NMOS inverter, it consists of an depletion MOSFET as a load. Okay, So this one is the depletion MOSFET. Depletion MOSFET, and this one is what? Enhancement MOSFET. Enhancement MOSFET. Okay, so depletion MOSFET and enhancement MOSFET. Right. So this is nothing but the load, right? Pull-up transistor. Here depletion MOSFET is what? Pull-up transistor. And this one is nothing but pull-down transistor. Okay, so first I have considered the circuit diagram for this NMOS inverter. Now what I have to do? I have to draw the stick diagram. So first rule is, first step is here, that is while drawing the stick diagram, step 1. Okay, so you have to represent, the step 1 is nothing but you have to represent the VDD and VSS, or we have to draw the VDD and VSS, power rails. Okay, so what is power rail? You will get the doubt. What is power rail means? Power rail means generally, if you consider a railway track here, okay, so that railway track consists of two parallel lines like this. Okay, so here the track will consist of two parallel lines. Okay, similarly here also in our VLSI we have two parallel lines, that is VDD and VSS. Okay, with both are in parallel. In between that we are placing different transistors. So here we call this railway, that is the track as rails. Okay, the track lines we call as rails. Similarly, here we are calling this VDD and VSS are power rails, because both VDD and VSS both are parallel. That's why these are called as what? Power rails. Okay, so like how we can call that railway track? Okay, that is rails. Rails is nothing but these two parallel tracks. These two parallel lines is called as rails for railway track. Similarly here in our VLSI we call VDD and VSS are power rails, because both will be connected in parallel. Okay, so that's why these are called as what? Power rails. So therefore here while drawing this stick diagrams, first we will consider what? First we will draw the VDD and VSS. So the first step is draw the power supply rails, or indicate the power supply rails. Indicate the power supply rails. So that is nothing but it will be represented with blue, that is metal. Okay, so here I am drawing that metal stick. So this one is, I will consider as VDD. Okay, and here I will consider that this one as the VSS. So the first step is draw the or indicate the power supply rails. So I am indicating VDD and VSS. Okay, so after indicating them, so what I have to do? So I have to form here the depletion MOSFET and enhancement MOSFET. Both are of N type. Okay, because we are drawing for the stick diagram for NMOS inverter. So what I have to consider here, NMOS inverter or the MOS transistor will form whenever a polysilicon is crossed with the N diffusion. So here if you consider, this one is the N type, and this depletion is also N type, and this is also N type. So what I will consider here is the N type material or N diffusion. First I will draw. Okay, so here I am drawing that N diffusion line. I am drawing the N diffusion line. Okay, so after drawing that, what I have to do? Okay, so is there any electrical connection between this VDD and this N diffusion and this VSS and N diffusion? No, because whenever two different layers are crossed, okay, so there is no electrical contact will be formed. Okay, so here these two are the different layers, but we require the electrical contact. That's why we have to use what? Contact cut to make a electrical contact between them. So this contact cut is nothing but a circle. Okay. Now what I have to do, right? What I have to do is, whenever an N diffusion is crossed with the polysilicon, then there will be a formation of NMOS transistor. Okay. So similarly here, I will cross this N diffusion with polysilicon. Okay. So this is nothing but my polysilicon here, right? So I am crossing this one with polysilicon. Here we have, so that it will form what? N diffusion and enhancement transistor. That is, here now this represents the enhancement. Similarly, I have to form the pull down transistor also. So this is the formation of NMOS transistors. Here N diffusion, that is crossed with the polysilicon here, and another N diffusion is crossed with the polysilicon. So here both will form NMOS enhancement transistors. But what we have here, it is NMOS depletion MOSFET. Then how we can represent this NMOS depletion MOSFET? So we can represent by placing an implant. What I told, that implant can be represented with this square box here. So this is implant. Okay. So previously this is nothing but enhancement transistor. Now it will becomes what? The depletion transistor. Okay. So depletion MOSFET. So this one is what? Implant. And this one is what? Polysilicon. Okay, and this is N diffusion. Here we have, it is N diffusion. Right. So this is contact cut. Contact cut. And this one is the metal representation. That is, blue color is what? Metal representation. Metal. Right. Now all are connected here. This one forms the depletion MOSFET here, and this one is enhancement MOSFET. Okay. Now where we are going to take this input and output. So the output will be considered at this point. Here you can observe that output will be considered at this point. So that is I am representing here, or I am taking that output also with the metal. Okay. So metal is with blue. So here I will place the contact cut, and I will consider this one as the metal, and it is output. Output. Okay. So at this point itself, at the gate, that is polysilicon itself, I will consider the V input. Input. Okay. So this is what we have the formation of this stick diagram for this NMOS inverter. Okay. Right. So this is about the stick diagram for NMOS inverter. Okay. So if you have any queries. Hello, Sridhar. You have any queries?